Let's talk about the stuff we just learned about how the world is shifting and how you might want to approach go-to-market differently, and how that influences how you should be using AI intelligently. I think there's so many ways in which people can use AI in a dumb way, and that's what's creating more noise than ever. People's inboxes are being spammed, like people's news feeds on social platforms are being spammed. People's search results are being spammed. It's just like more and more and more. And all of it is like very low quality too. Like people are doing more with AI, but they're creating more noise. And that's what you don't want to do. You want to essentially be doing stuff that stands out, right? So you don't want to be doing things like spinning out thousands of copycat pages and seeing your traffic sort of work and then being banned by Google and dropping off a cliff. That's not a great way to use AI. You don't want to use AI to be trying to engage with people. This is an AI generated, and I'm sorry for putting this person on the hot seat right now, but AI generated comments when you're trying to engage with me and you're not having a conversation, you're just parroting back what I said because you dropped into ChatGPT. That's not like a really great use case as well. Immediately going to block you actually because you don't seem like a real person. And so people shouldn't be using AI to create user-facing content that I think hasn't been reviewed. If a person hasn't seen it, don't put it in front of your customers. You don't really know what you're going to be putting out in front of them, unless you're operating at such a scale and volume that you're okay with burning a ton of them. Depends on your business, depends on like what your market looks like. But just if you want to run that playbook, you also have to be okay with a lot of them just being like, yeah, this is garbage. I don't want to associate with this person in any capacity. The second thing you shouldn't be using AI for is looking for truthful data. A lot of generated AI still hallucinates, can make very convincing arguments about things and make it sound like it knows what it's talking about. But you don't want to be using AI for that. So I see marketers or folks asking AI to essentially do their job for them, which it's not ready to do quite yet. And so what you want to use AI in this world with AI, like generative AI, what you want to really do is try to figure out, okay, how do I rise above this noise? This is a DALL-E image, by the way. So there are definitely interesting use cases for AI to like communicate ideas. And so that's a good way to use AI maybe. And so I think AI historically in marketing is good for like three primary areas. One is research. So being able to save you time and collecting data from lots of different sources, may that be like calls, videos, the web, whatever. Remixing, taking existing content and stuff that's already out there that you know is actually good and turning it into different formats. And finally, ideation. How do you essentially give a person a lot of avenues or things that they can kind of like go after, and then they can essentially orchestrate or pick and choose what they want to do. And so a couple of examples of how we use AI at Letterdrop along all of those avenues. The first is research. We do things like use AI to actually understand what is ranking today on Google, essentially doing an information gap analysis to understand where your competition is saying something that you're not saying, so that you can actually fill in those gaps and create a very complete piece of content that has a higher chance of ranking. You can use Letterdrop to extract insights, marketing insights from calls, so that you can actually understand like what types of sales enabling content you need to create, what types of FAQs, zero search volume, SEO pieces, all that stuff. Like what is blocking sales today? How do you create the content and put that out into the public sphere so that people can answer these questions themselves, or how their sales team can actually leverage this content to answer these questions better. The second use case I think AI is very good for is remixing. So how do you essentially turn things like webinars or long form content into blogs and social media posts very quickly? So in Letterdrop, you can create campaigns from existing content. Just say, hey, like I already have these ideas fleshed out for me. Can you turn this into this different format so that I can redistribute it? Or doing the same thing, taking long form content like a really great blog post or a video, selecting a template, saying like, hey, like here's what I sound like. turn this into a social post for me that I can publish immediately with minimal editing. So these are all great use cases of AI. The last one I want to go into is ideation. So things we do here are helping companies actually understand how can I cover a topic to rank on Google in a way that it hasn't been covered before. And so essentially giving you a menu of options to actually understand, okay, like what are ways in which people have not historically visited this topic in order to answer search intent? Are any of these things that I want to incorporate in a way that makes sense for my business? Or even understanding like, hey, as a salesperson, like what is the right content I should be sharing with my team? And so with Letterdrop, we can actually understand what your customers actually need and tell the salesperson like, hey, I would suggest sharing, here's a couple of ideas for content or things that you can share with this person. So those are some great ways in which I think people can be using AI. It's not just ChatGPT and generating a whole bunch of fluff and putting it out there and losing trust with your audience. It's about still being authentic, but using AI to essentially streamline and compress like long, tedious tasks or get information from different places and serve it to the right person at the right time. One thing I want to point out is that when everybody, look here, like everyone can buy tooling and everyone has access to ChatGPT. When everyone has AI, you're setting it's a level playing field, right? Like everyone can do the exact same stuff. I like this quote from the Incredibles movie where this guy says, I'm blanking on his name, the villain says, when everyone's super, no one will be. Same thing, when everyone has superpowers via AI, no one has superpowers. And so maybe there is a window of opportunity for you to like use this stuff, but also operate under the assumption that everyone can do this stuff. And so really as a marketer or as a business, you need to figure out how to remember to be human, use AI for the right things. And remember, how do you actually relate to another person? How can you talk to them about their problems? How can you actually tap into their inner desire? And so this brings us back to marketing from the good old days, from the 80s, where it was like jingles and brand ads, right? So Porsche, for example, like they had all of these ads which really speak to why people buy this car. And they're creative and they really tap into a good understanding of their customer and who buys from them. And so I think that's the kind of stuff that we need to remember, whether it be in B2B or consumer, is understanding like people at the end of the day buy for certain types of reasons. If you have that, you can now use tooling, AI and software to scale that, but that fundamental stuff still matters a ton. And that's the stuff that you should not be using AI to replace. So that's pretty much my little spiel on how go-to-market is changing and how you should be thinking about marketing and sales working together and how you can be using AI in marketing in a smart way and not in dumb ways that are ultimately just going to hurt you. And that's all I have for today. But if you want to reach out to me, I am at Parthi@letterdrop.com. I post a lot on LinkedIn. I dogfood our own product. And so you can search for Parthi Letterdrop on LinkedIn and you'll probably find me. Send me a connection request or a follow. And feel free to check out Letterdrop as well if it makes sense for you and you're thinking about how to apply AI in marketing and the new go-to-market.